So today's tarot reading, I thought I'd try and make it a topical one. So to do with what's going on right now in the world, but you can also apply this to what is going on right now whenever you're watching this in your life. So at the moment it is the beginning of May, it's the 2nd of May here, and 2020. But if you're listening to this, like, in the future at some point, then feel free to apply it to whatever you want. Because the question that I asked for the card reading is, when will things get better? And I think that's something that, that's a question that all of us ask all of the time anyway, no matter what's going on in the world. It's something that, if we have a challenging situation in our life, we are going to be asking, when will things get better? Whether we're asking ourselves, or whether we're asking God or our guides or the universe, or our friends. But when we feel like stuck or trapped or frustrated or overwhelmed, then the question of, like, when will things get better is a really important one to us, because we want to know when we're going to move out of where we are currently into a better space. And I have this mantra that I like to use, and it's a very well-known saying, so you probably heard it already, but I find it really helpful, and I discovered it years ago going through a tough patch, and it resonated with me so strongly that I actually kind of wrote it out on little cards and posted it all around my house, so that everywhere that I went I would see those cards. Every time I moved, pretty much, their cards were like in every room. They were like on the staircases, above the sink, in the kitchen, in the bathroom, so that I couldn't like be long without actually bumping into one and reading that statement again. And the statement was, "This too will pass." And I think it's a really important phrase, a really important mantra to have. It's like, this too will pass, it will pass, it will change, nothing stays the same. And so no matter what we're going through at the moment, it will change, it will shift, this too will pass. And while, maybe this will pass into a different situation that isn't necessarily better for a while, because, we have no control over these things, it will pass and it will change. And if we can hold on to the belief that this will pass, and it will pass into something better, which is what I like to do, then that can give us strength and hope and carry us through. And I like to always like look at what is the gift in this situation for me. This is happening to me for a reason. It's happening to help me to grow, to evolve, to shift from one space to the next. And even if it feels really unfair, really difficult, really painful, really challenging, that there is a gift inside of this, So for right now, this card is relevant to what is happening in the world right now with the pandemic and the virus and all of the fear surrounding that. But you could also relate it to something happening in your personal life right now, or in your as in personal life as in relationships, or personal life as in self, and health, whether that's physical or emotional, whether that's to do with your business, whether that's to do with relationships with other people, etc. Okay, so just apply it to whatever works for you. But my main focus here right now, today, is about the quarantining and the virus. And the card that I pulled out is the Five of Pentacles. So immediately we can see that this card could quite adequately sum up where we are right now, how we're feeling. Yeah, it's like, there are two characters in the card. There is a woman, an old woman, who is hunched over. She's hiding beneath a cloak. She's got bare feet and she's walking in the snow. It's cold, she's stuck outside. She's on her own. It's in her own world, in her own private torment. And then there's like a man or a boy walking next to her. He's got a bell around his neck, almost like a leper would have, like a warning signal. Oh, there's a person, danger, danger, stay away, that kind of a, and he's on crutches, and it looks like he's got an injured leg, and he too looks kind of poor and broken, and they're both wearing blue and yellow, and they're both wearing red. So if we look at it and we can go, okay, well, they're both wearing yellow, yeah, and yellow is all about our intuition and our gut instinct, yeah, and that's all down at floor level. So it's like on the limbs as well, yeah, on his arms, but on his feet and on her skirt, which is nearer to the floor. So that's all about like our connection to the earth, to the information that we are drawing up from the earth, yeah. So it's like they're drawing up this information from the earth, and then they're dressed in blue, which is all about their throat chakra and their voice and speaking the truth and your beliefs. Okay, so his like energy is broken and limping because it's on crutches, so it's not able to make itself heard. It's been crippled, and she's hiding under a cloak, so she's being forced to hide. So what she knows in her gut as the truth and what she would like to speak, she's having to like cover herself with a cloak and shut herself up, so she can't say it out loud. She can't speak because she's afraid to say it. She's afraid to express her feelings. And him, well, maybe he tried and then he's been hobbled, and so he can't speak anymore, and he's got a bell around his neck, so the bell is like a warning signal, like, everybody else go away, crazy person's coming this way, and they're like they're stuck outside. They're outside the building, and the building in the picture is a church, yeah. It's got it's like the pentacles is all about money and wealth, yeah, and career and stuff, and it's like these characters are outside the church, so they're outside. They've been kicked out. They're on the outside. They do not belong and they are not wanted. They cannot go inside because they are considered unworthy. They're outcasts. And so it's like, this card is like, it's a bleak card. It's a card of feeling isolated and cast out and misunderstood, and maybe that's how we're feeling right now, because if we see the church as the media, yeah, and the government, but as the big PR machine that's going on at the moment, that's telling us what we should be thinking, what we should be believing, what is actually going on in the world. If we see the church in the picture as that, so not so much the traditional church, but the modern day church. So in the olden days, the church dictated what we were and were allowed to do, what we could and could not believe in, and if we weren't religious and we weren't faithful and we didn't go to church, then we could be excluded from certain situations. Like children not allowed to go to school unless they are of a certain religion and have certain religious beliefs, for example. Whereas nowadays that church has become the government and the powers that rule us, and the things that they tell us we have to do and to comply with in order to be allowed to exist and interact within society. So at the moment, all of those things are kind of like being discussed in a really different way to before, and it's all up in the air. And so it's like we're stuck at home and we've been locked inside, and we're not allowed to go outside. And depending on what country you live in, maybe You know, you get fined if you go outside, maybe you get in trouble, maybe there are penalties. It varies from place to place. But all of us have been told to go home and stay inside and shelter in place. And we've been told that we're doing this for the good of everybody else, for ourselves, and also for those out there who are more vulnerable, who are weaker, who might get sick. So we happily complied with this because, you know, we're decent people and we want to help people. But then while we were complying with this, certain bills were passed, certain rules and regulations were changed, so that those powers that be then controlled things about us and our lives as individuals that they didn't previously. And if we had a problem with this, and if we spoke up, well, then, you know, that kind of like media machine and the on the actual, you know, on the news, whether that's on TV or written, and also on the internet and social media, because there's been a lot of kind of like trolling and stuff on social media, and a lot of putting out different hefty viewpoints, both sides, yeah. So there's been a lot of like theories as to what's going on, and then there's been what the mainstream media wants us to take as the truth. And I'm not commenting in one way or another as to what I believe is true and not true, because I think it's very complicated, and I don't even necessarily know what I feel anyway yet. I'm still working through that and modelling, and it tends to change from day to day. I'm open to everything. Yeah, I'm open to all of the possibilities at the moment, because I think it is impossible to know, and from the research that I've done, nobody really knows, or some people think they really know, but most people are kind of somewhere in the middle and they don't really know, but they know that they're questioning things, and they're not necessarily as quiet and subdued about the whole thing compliant to it, or as they were at the beginning, because in the beginning we all ran home, we were all scared, we all locked ourselves inside, and we did exactly as we were told. And then as time has gone on, we've watched stuff, we've read stuff, we've talked to people we know, we've compared stories and footage and information, and it doesn't all add up. So I'm kind of coming from a place of you know, if you are a believer in everything they are putting out, and that makes sense to you, or that provides you with some comfort to believe in that information, and then in the people that tell you they are coming up with a solution and they will provide it really shortly to you, yeah, then perhaps you are the woman in the picture, yeah, the woman that maybe has some inkling in her gut of what she feels, has a story that she would like to tell, information that she would like to express, but who is choosing to hide under the cloak. Yeah, and the cloak is red, so it's almost like she's taken her roots, she's taken her strength, her stability, and she's pulled it up and she's shoved it over her head, so that her head cannot connect, cannot communicate with her higher self and higher sources of information, so that she's trapped down on the ground with cold feet in the snow. But if you are questioning what you're being told, and you're not really happy about that information and what it might mean to the rest of your life and the quality of that life and the freedoms attached to it or not, and you started asking questions, then maybe you are more like the man who is partly hobbled, yeah, because it's like, I'm sure you would have encountered people that do not appreciate your questions, yeah, your inquiries, people who may have called you names or patronized you or tried to make out that you're stupid or crazy, or misinformed, or paranoid, So maybe you can relate to this character in the fact that you feel like you have a bell around your neck, and every time you open your mouth or approach certain people, they're like, oh my God, and they see you coming and they run away. And both whether you see yourself in this or this person, this kind of like archetype, personality, whatever that fits the right now, yeah. So not like a classical archetype, but an archetype for right now. Then it's like both sides though, both people have been shut out of the inner sanctum, yeah, the heart. It's like the ruling power at the moment. It's like nobody but the really high up on, on the system, the really people really close to the center of it all, really knows what's going on. Those are the people with the power. So it doesn't matter whether you want to quietly go along with it, or whether you want to ask questions and kind of probe further into the information and choose whether to or not to believe in it, and try to do something about that to re-empower yourself and to stop other people from becoming disempowered, so to keep them empowered and to keep the world as open and as free and as friendly as possible. You're on the outside. So the picture in the card kind of just says, this is a picture that illustrates what we're all kind of going through at the moment, yeah, where we see ourselves, how we feel, yeah, and it's been a while for us feeling this way, because our lives were like drastically, rapidly changed without our permission. But in answer to the question of like, when is this going to go away? When is this going to get better? I think the really important thing on this card is like, it's the number 5, the 5 of Pentacles. So it's like, maybe it's 5 weeks from now. Maybe it is the 5th month, which is this month, which is right now, yeah. So maybe it's all going to get better right now, immediately. Or maybe we look at the card and we think, well, perhaps it's 5 more months. Perhaps it's like, coming towards winter time, and it's not going to get better for quite some time to come. So I'm kind of like leaving that part up to you and what you see in there. I'm just looking at the card one last time to see if anything else jumps out. And I might pull one more card just to ask for a bit more clarity on timing, yeah, because I think that card really illustrates really well what's going on right now, but I don't think it gives us enough information about the when. Yeah, it's like K5, but I want a bit more clarity. Okay, so the card that came out was Judgment. So the Judgment card which is number 20, and that's from the Major Arcana. Yeah, so that's like the cards that actually have like names, individual names, as opposed to part of the suits. The Judgment card is basically, it's like all the people are down below on Earth. They're actually in coffins floating in the water. They're kind of like, they're blue, so they look like they're cold, they're dead, they've been, kind of entombed, and they're now standing up and they're hearing a message from up high, and the message is being trumpeted down at them from an angel, and they are listening, they are praying, they are holding their hands up and responding. And so I think basically, if I'm just gonna I'm not gonna go into this card in massive detail. I'm just gonna give you, like, my quick thoughts in terms of how it matches to this and how it gives us a timeline. And so this card is basically saying, that when you wake up, when you stop being asleep, so everybody has to stop being asleep. We've been walking around, most of us, asleep like zombies for years, doing as we're told, plugging ourselves into technology, brainwashing ourselves, walking around like sheep, kind of like buying into that whole like work mentality, that you have to have a certain amount of money, you have to keep up with everyone around you, you have to have a certain amount of possessions, you have to shop here, wear this, eat that, go to this place, travel here, travel there, and it's all about just being on that consumer train that we've all been on for so long, some of us more than others, but we've, even people that are conscious and aware have still been on that consumer train, I think, more than they realised. And since we've all been in quarantine and we haven't been allowed to go out and we haven't been able to access the majority of things, all we've had access to, a lot of us, depending on what country you're in as well, I think, because some countries have had access to a lot more, and I think it depends on how big your country is, whether your borders have been shut completely or not. But I know, like, from where I am, my perspective, it's like all we've had access to is stuff from exactly where we are, which is an island, a small island. And so for this whole time period since the 13th of March, it's just been food and medicine from the pharmacy, really, and not much else. All the other shops and stuff have been shut, and in terms of postage, it's just local stuff, although I think that's starting to change. But anyway, so we've all kind of like learned, oh wow, I can go without this, I can go without that, and we've changed the way we are, and the amount of stuff we use. It's like, I don't know, like, for example, I for one have realised, that I've forgotten, like, so many days now I forget, and every so often I remember to even just put moisturizer on my face during the day. It's like I wake up and I wash my face, and then because I'm not going out, because I'm staying at home and I want to like do some exercise and maybe have a hot bath, I don't then like moisturize my face and get ready for going out or anything. It's like I carry on, I do that stuff, and then afterwards I kind of, if after exercise, it's like, well, I'm hot, or after the bath I'm hot, so I don't want to put like a cream on my face, and then by the time I've like kind of cooled down and reacclimatized, I forget. So very often, I haven't put a moisturizer on my face, and I might have gone for like, I think in this whole time that we've been quarantined, I've probably only put, the moisturizer on my face maybe for 1 week out of 7. But my skin is no different. My skin is not worse for that. My skin is not dry. And I think, maybe it's like even better because it's had a chance to detox and cleanse itself on a deeper level than before. I never put much stuff on anyway, and it was always like healthy stuff, clean stuff. But I think even just going with nothing, it's like it's reminded me that, well, men don't really, in general, depending on whether you're like a modern man or not, but like men traditionally never put anything on their face. They never used any of the products that women use. Now more men are using those products and everything, and they've kind of like been trained by the media to believing that they need them, and are starting to, but overall they don't. And it's like, well, men's skin is not like bad compared to women's, is it? It's like you don't compare a man your age to yourself and go, okay, well their skin's terrible compared to mine. It's like, no, a lot of the time their skin is actually better than ours because they don't put rubbish on it all day. And I've kind of like realised that through not putting anything on my skin for these past weeks, really, apart from like a face mask every few days, and that's not on it, that's like cleansing to take away stuff, that maybe as women we've all been massively hoodwinked, and we don't need to be putting any of this stuff on our face, and maybe we could just get away with putting like a light oil on our face, and that's it. We don't need to like kind of go buy it from a special shop or brand. We can just get an avocado oil or olive oil or sunflower oil or apricot oil, or whatever we like feel drawn towards, or whatever would maybe suit our skin type better, because all of the oils are different, have different properties. But maybe we could get away with just doing that, and we don't need to do all the rest of it. And maybe we don't need to like clog our faces and our pores up with makeup, and our hair up with product, and our bodies with all of these different things. It's like maybe we can be really simple and really basic. Maybe through having been in quarantine and having run out of stuff and then not being able to replace it, we can actually realise we don't actually need that much. Like a lot of our needs can be met with a bottle of olive oil, actually. And if we don't like the smell of that, then we can get a bottle of a different oil, like almond oil or something, or coconut oil. But we can pretty much do everything with just that. And I think if we extend that belief out to everything in our lives and everything that we use, there's a lot of stuff that we use that we don't need and that maybe isn't very good for us, but we've been just like programmed into believing that we have to, otherwise we're not going to be healthy and we're not going to be attractive, and etc. etc. So going back to the card, I think we're all waking up to this right now, slowly, some more than others. And I think this card is saying, that basically when everybody has woken up, when enough people have woken up, when enough people have like broken out of their coffin, of slumber and of ignorance and of passivity, and have stood up and have started to listen to those higher voices, those higher messages that are out there if you look for them. That is when this will end, because this will end when we take back our power, when we stand up and when we say, enough, this isn't right, the way that it's being dealt with isn't going to work, it's not going to suit us all, it's going to take away our voices, take away our power, take away our individuality, and potentially take away our health. And we're being scared into giving everything away without even questioning it, because we're being told, well, if you don't, you're going to get really sick and you're going to die. And if you don't die, well, maybe you're going to make other people really sick and they're going to die, and then you're going to have that on your conscience for the rest of your life, and nobody wants that. So, we've all been really, really good, and we've entombed ourselves in our houses, and we haven't gone out. And when we have gone out, we've been like little robots. We've been really meek and really kind of like subdued, and we've obeyed everything that we've been told to do. And I'm not saying that we were wrong, and I'm not saying that behaving like this was unnecessary and was the wrong thing to do, or that like obeying those rules that were set wasn't for the good of all, because I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing here, and I'm saying that the card is saying, the cards are basically saying, yeah, that if we look at them and we go, well, we wanted a date, so it's 5/20. Okay, so the 20th of the 5th month, so the 20th of May, perhaps. Or it might be the 20th of in 5 more months' time, which is May, June, July, August, September, October. So it might be the 20th of October, yeah. But it will pass, and it's going to happen like imminently soon this year, yeah. And we've already dealt with like 2 months almost, so we'll be fine. We're with this now. We're part of this now. We kind of like we've got a routine, so it's all good. But the card is basically is kind of like saying like that, like in not speaking up and in not having a voice, we're trapped outside and we're penniless and we're poor and we're barefoot, and we really are just in survival mode. In trying to speak, but speaking to the wrong people, we are basically ostracized, yeah, and cast out, made into outcasts, and a bell is put around our neck, and we are crippled. Yeah, our power is taken away. But the way forward and the way through and the way to back to freedom is in reaching out to find those higher sources of information. So those people out there that are speaking a higher truth, a different truth, a truth that feels lighter and brighter, yeah, of a higher vibrational energy, not fear but hope. By attaching ourselves to those people and listening to those people and standing up and opening our hearts, yeah, offering up our minds, that is the way to end this, to escape this, to get through this. That is the way that will lead to a better tomorrow. So I hope that was helpful. It was a bit of a deep one. Yeah, it went in a different direction to the direction that I was anticipating, but that's the beauty of the cards, because you can never predict these things. It's like, I don't know what card's going to come out, and then I don't know what I'm going to see in that card when I read it. So that was the message that was in there today, and it was kind of like it was a deeper, more intrusive, intense message than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be all happiness and flowers and bunny rabbits and stuff, but no, not that was not the intention that the cards had for today. The intention that the cards had was much deeper, but I think more helpful, really, overall, more realistic, and more believable, and actionable. So yeah, I encourage you to sit down and to think about what you've just heard, maybe to journal how you're feeling right now, what it's brought up for you, what thoughts and what feelings, and then you can put that to use in your life. If you would like to know more about me, you can see my website, lemonrosepetals.com. And on there's lots of information about who I am and what I do, what my interests are, and the other kind of like tools that I have in my toolbox. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, again, it's Lemon Rose Petals, and I post lots of like kind of short little tarot readings on there, and other things, and that's quite an active page for me. I like Instagram a lot. Facebook I use from time to time, but it's not something that I'm massively involved in, so we'll kind of leave that. But I'm sure if you search me under Lemon Rose Petals, you'll find me there as well. And if you would like to book a private reading with me, then you can do that through my website, lemonrosepetals.com. just click on the contact button or book a session. And also, if you would like me to do a, just like, I'm happy to do video readings, like this. I'm always doing videos, so if you would like to suggest a question to me, you can send that to me, and if I think that that question would be useful to, you know, another audience, then I would be happy to do that video and put it on my channel, and you can get the answer there. So it would be a public answer, not a private answer, but it would be complimentary. So yeah, so however you would like to get in touch with me, again, those are your options. Okay.